Hobbit.
All right, Dave. We're gonna need to muzzle you for a second. Is that all right?
I'm sorry. All right, let me call the wife.
All right, hold on a second. All right, so let's go. Let's talk here, Jay. So here's what I got. I think we absolutely have a legit defense. I'm not about to try to crown us the champions of the NFC North and all that crap yet. Obviously, we got another big week coming next week, home opener at Lambeau against the Vikings, and they're going to have something to say about that. We can't be riding too high on our horse right now. They're going to come in. I think the Vikings are going to be pretty decent this year also, right? But I will say this. You can tell just from that post-game interview that Aaron Rodgers gave, the look on his face, that was a smirk and a smile that you do not ever see from him when he's talking about the team. When he's talking about the Packers defense. He's been alluding to it and hinting to it all off season, all training. And then you got guys like Pete Prisco that went to the Packers training camp, and they're all of a sudden
Darius Smith
in the Super Bowl, and they're tweeting everything about how they think this Packers defense is completely legit. And then no one got to see them during the preseason. All we could go was based off of what people were talking about that were at practice and what they saw. Tonight, we finally got to see it for the first time. And yes, it was not a good offense that we went against. I don't care what anyone says. Mitch Trubisky sucks. He is not a good quarterback.
First round bust.
He's not horrible, but he is not good. All right.
Well, here,
look,
no,
but it does not matter.
Right there, I'm staring at 3 out of 15 third down, folks.
Time out. Look, I will say this. I have it in my notes, Ryan, and I'm going to go back and review the tape again before I make any definitive statements. I will say this. On one thing I did notice, and they did point it out several times, and again, I will double-check the tape before I make any more definitive statements, but his footwork was much improved. He handled pressure on a more regular basis early in the game, much better. In the end of the game, he became very rattled when it became evidence that the pressure was mounting. So that he did regress in the game. But I will say there was signs of a huge jump in his mechanics, like Dave was jumping in and saying. I noticed right away.
I'm sorry.
One thing I will say, though, I did notice, I'm not seeing the repetitive arm angle and release. I still saw about 5, 6, 7 different release points, arm angles, and a lot of those were errant throws, high, way left, way right. I can't harp on that enough. So there was good and bad with Trubisky still in this game, but enough where there was growth from last year yet. And the point was, on the Hallis Hall Brawl, guys, I'll give him credit. He is still, even in his third year, he's taken less snaps at quarterback overall than even guys like Mahomes and Watson. So there is growth there. I'm just saying to be credible on both sides as an analyst. That's all. Nothing is wrong.
But still,
Turn your TV down in the background.
I did. I turned mine down.
All right, someone's was loud.
Mine, probably. It was probably mine.
Hold on, though. So going back to this defense, right? Again, I was saying it earlier. The fact that we were able to get pressure with only rushing 4 for the most part, and then when they did complete passes, for the most part, we had a guy on that receiver. It wasn't like blown coverage. It wasn't guys wide.
It was a dump route receiver. I loved it.
Things that we've gotten used to over the last several years under Dom, right? Or with defensive players that it's just either people were injured or they didn't fit the scheme. So we've got now a safety in Adrian Amos that actually is assignment sure, who actually knows what he's doing back there, does not make mistakes. Then we have a rookie safety in Darnell Savage that is an absolute athlete. Like, that dude can cover ground. He's always going to be around the ball. He almost made a ridiculous interception just because he was in the right place at the right time, and he almost made that. As he starts to pick up the speed and get used to the NFL game and get acclimated to how fast it is and start to be able to diagnose offensive plays better. I mean, this was his first game. He barely played in the preseason. He is going to be an absolute beast. He's going to be able to cover ground and cover up mistakes, very similar to what Nick Collins used to be able to do. And I said this during the draft. That guy moves around the field and covers ground like Earl Thomas, and I will stick with that. But then you got guys like Jair who are just ridiculous, continues to do what he already started doing last year. And then you've got Kevin King actually healthy on the field. He can play, right? And then you got a reliable guy in Tremont making plays. I mean, I'm telling you, this defense at all levels is going to be ridiculous. I'm just curious to see how they actually play against a legit offense. That'll be the real test, because tonight that was not a real offense that we played against.
Next week with Kirk Cousins is.
Yeah, well, yeah, this should be. But, I mean, the fact is they did what they should against an offense like the Bears and held them to 3 points. That is really hard to do in the NFL.
That is Studley, man. That's Studley. You know how much that pumps me up, honestly, of the 3 points thing. Not only because I started them in my fantasy team this week, and they got 6 sacks and an INT and only 3 points and less than 300 yards. That just made me happier than a bug in a rug. But I am so much a run game and defense guy. The defense just tonight just melted my heart. Honest to God, Ryan and Dave, it melted my heart. It was enjoyable to watch. For so long, I've wanted to see that type of defense. Six sacks and an interception, less than 300 total yards, I believe. It's somewhere around there. That's come on, dude. It's 2019.
It looks like it's 4 or 5 sacks, an interception, and Tremont Williams played his old butt off. Like what you said earlier, Jay.
I appreciate, even if this isn't repeated again in the season, you have to appreciate tonight's performance alone. That's not something you see often in the modern era of football. This defense tonight, period.
They did. They on the road, first game, they impressed me. They really impressed me. And they were close to making even more plays. There could have been even more turnovers. That was a really, really good performance by the defense, and they're going to get discredited because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say, well, it was the Bears' offense, it was Mitch Trubisky, it was all this, blah, blah, blah.
Capers' defense got shredded by Mitch Trubisky with other schemes and worse offenses over and over again. So that's such a pile of crap right now before it's even said by anybody. Because it's well before anybody else is going to be able to say that, because we're on air, and we will continuously retweet this crap so we can telling you right now, those other defenses absolutely would get shredded by an offense like this and make Mitch Trubisky look like he was as good as Aaron Rodgers. We saw it for 7 years in Green Bay, so don't even try that crap either, people. It's bull crap. The defense showed up and showed out. Regardless of how good or how bad you want to say this defense is, it did its job. Absolutely. And it didn't give up yards. It didn't give up points. It was just stellar. Period.
Can I say something?
Can we switch this up to the offense?
Yep, I actually wanted to bring that up, Ryan, real quick.
All right, go ahead, guys.
I promise I'm not. All right, let me just say this. Elgton Jenkins should be starting for Lane Taylor. I'm sorry. I watched Lane Taylor get bull rushed 3 times tonight. That shouldn't have happened, and Elgton Jenkins wouldn't have had that happen, period.
No, yeah, I agree with that. Jenkins should be starting over Taylor. I don't know what would happen because we haven't seen Jenkins in that position, especially against a defensive line and the defensive front like the Chicago Bears. So who knows? Maybe Jenkins gets blown up too. We don't know. But I don't think it would happen. I don't believe it would happen because I think Jenkins is just that guy. I think Jenkins is an absolute stud.
Breaking news, guys. Sorry to interrupt. Zadarius Smith. 7 QB pressures tonight in a total of 19 QB pressures by the Packers tonight on Trubisky. If that doesn't say an improve from last year, I'm just saying
a lot in one game.
That just came from Next Gen Stats. blue mark check next to it. 19 total.
Player of
19,
the game.
Darius Smith,
And
7.
Dave, hey, Dave,
Z.
player of
Smith.
the game, and you called it. You called it on our show. You called it on Hallis Hall Brawl. Way to go, Dave. Z-Dog is officially player of the game.
He has literally changed the whole facet of the Packers defense. He creates pressures without even getting a sack, and it makes Mitch shake in his boots.
Yep.
All I know is Darius Smith was worth every penny from watching tonight.
Okay, all right. Now, Ryan, back to what you were saying. You wanted to switch the offense.
Sorry for interrupting, guys. I had to put out the breaking news.
You're good, though, dude. All right, Ryan, go ahead. Lead the charge. You wanted to switch over to the offense, man. Go ahead, man.
All right. So a couple things. So yes, Dave, you are absolutely correct. Jenkins should be starting in front of Taylor. I really want to see what he can do. I think it was really just a matter of Taylor is the veteran. We're going in first game of the year on the road against Chicago. He played against them last 2 years and was okay. Well, I don't know what okay, but he knows how to play them. So we're going to stick with the veteran. I think they need to make the switch for week 2. I think Jenkins should be the starter. Second of all, I think Aaron Rodgers, and I tweeted this multiple times, not just tonight.
I saw it.
I've tweeted about Aaron Rodgers and the way his inability to throw proper dump off and short passes to like running backs and tight ends in the flats or on circle routes. He has not been good at doing that for since I've been watching him. And if you watch other offenses where quarterbacks do that frequently, the problem is our Packers offense isn't used to doing that, right? We don't do swing passes to the running backs. We don't do those types of circle routes and things into the flats and things like that. We just don't do it. And so I feel like it's because almost that he hasn't been used to it, that he hasn't practiced it, that he's not good at it. But if you watch guys like Drew Brees and the guys in Tom Brady's and the guys in offenses that do that often, they know how to throw the ball and place it so that when they catch it, they're ready to roll, right? They are run off and running. And shoot, we can't even get that. We're throwing at the feet. We're throwing at the ground. Like, that's unacceptable for a guy that we're paying that much money. And I love Aaron Rodgers, but I'm sorry, we got to get that worked out, because we saw that last year. We've seen that for several years. And tonight it was, to me, I mean, I retweeted my own tweet multiple times because it was just easier to do it that way.
I know you saw my tweet about him, and then immediately that was about the first and second drive about he was just off, period. He looked rusty, he looked off, and that he needed to come out and he needed to lead the charge. And, yeah, and he needed to lead the charge because everybody was dependent on him to get this thing rolling. And he did that. First down, third drive, MVS, big play, 47 yards, and it did jumpstart everything. They went down there in 1 minute and 35 seconds and scored, took the lead. It was exactly what I tweeted out, but I absolutely agreed with you. There's no excuse for that. If you're not going to play in the preseason and tell us the most important reps you got were that and you're ready to go, those first 2 drives were completely on Aaron Rodgers. They weren't on anybody else. He was off on throws that would have converted third downs. He was just off. Period. He was off on easy throws, quick throws. You're absolutely right, Ryan. But at the end of the day, he did correct it and come back and do what he needed to do. But those things need to be cleaned up, especially if you're not going to play in the preseason.
But here's the thing, though. That what I'm talking about isn't lack of playing in preseason. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is something that I've seen for years. It has zero to do with how many snaps he played in the preseason.
You're talking about the Tom Brady check down, short, quick release, just back foot, like it's almost the 1 foot drop, back foot throw, like those type of throws that you don't feel he's consistent and accurate on and takes when you think he should, that he's off on those throws.
Correct.
Is that what I'm talking about? Is that
correct?
Correct.
Exactly. And here's the reason why. Rodgers' arm talent is second to none. It's never to be questioned. But he knows that, and that's the problem. He knows his arm talent is so good that mechanics sometimes get thrown out the window.